This is Pacho. Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me? Over.
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah!
Well, everybody, I am not Pacho. Pacho will be right back with us. He's having a little technical difficulties today. We'll be right back to you.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
Listen up, I'm gonna sing some more.
Marine Corps.
Motivation in the simplified.
Marine Corps.
This is where we come alive.
Marine Corps.
San Diego climbing up the hills.
Marine Corps.
Paris Island parade deck skills.
Marine Corps.
All right, they are all yours.
Hey, hoorah, get some, everybody. What's going on? Hey, that's what, when you rely a little bit too much on technology, this is what you get. So today we have a really great show. And by the way, like I always say, the thoughts, opinions, and things that are said on this show do not necessarily reflect on Stitch Radio as well as StreamYard or anything of such. These are just our own thoughts and opinions as well as my guests. Sometimes my guests and I may even disagree on whatever topic we're talking about. The main thing is that, hey, it is freedom of speech. And some of the things that we may say here, some people may not like it. And hey, you're also, free to not listen and just, go to another show. But with that being said, let me introduce my buddy over here. This is Daniel Stevenson. Daniel Stevenson is a retired Marine like myself. As a matter of fact, him and I go a little bit way back. And, we both did the same job. I took over one of the positions that after he retired, I ended up taking over for a few years later. So with that being said, Mr. Stevenson, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, that was a good preface about people may not agree with what I say quite often.
Well, I know you and me have had we've had a couple of good conversations in the past, and although you have a lot of good anecdotes and points of lives, whenever I don't agree, I just shake my head and I just kind of giggle it.
Well, most people don't agree. That's okay. I'm good.
That's the great thing is that at least people, we're communicating, we're talking, and that's what it's all about, man.
Yes.
Hey, that's why we joined the Marine Corps too.
Agree to disagree, and it's all about individual.
Yeah,
it's all about the individual. I'm full support of the person thinking and feeling the way they want to think.
Oh, so hey, why don't we do this as we kick it off? Tell us a little bit about how is it you got in, what made you prompt of wanting to come into the Marine Corps and join this crazy gun club?
Wow. Okay, so that's a good question.
Hey.
So, I was looking to go to college. Grades weren't that great, weren't that bad. And I was into music. I earned the John Phillips Sousa Award 2 years in a row, my junior and senior year.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, out of my high school, #1 musician in school. And but I couldn't get more than a partial scholarship in college. And my father had his own construction business and his one-man show. All his money went back to that. There was no money to go to college. So one day I'm just had no clue what I was going to do and saw the Marine Corps recruiter and I said, that's it.
Wow. It's amazing. So did the recruiter try to steer you towards being a musician at all?
Yeah, he did. But he first steered me towards, yeah, I don't think you're going to be, you're at the level we need to be a Marine. But I was insistent. So then he tried to have me
I think we're back.
okay.
Yeah, so
So yeah, he wanted me to audition for the band, but I said I wanted to be a real Marine for some for some dumb reason. I didn't think being a musician was being a real Marine. So so
well, as a former recruiter, let me tell you, we used to do backflips for kids who were musicians, especially like those really hard instruments to find, like a sousaphone, a piccolo, all kinds of crazy things. And literally, the headquarters say, "Hey, you need to find this kid." I remember one time we had a husband and a wife team, and man, they were, I mean, Miracle was almost throwing at them all kinds of just goodies just to keep these.
Marine Corps. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
Listen up, I'm gonna sing some more.
Marine Corps.
Motivation in the simplified.
Marine Corps.
This is what you get when you got to blame the internet company.
well, we are in an advanced country, but at the same time, still challenging.
Yeah. So you were saying that, so the recruiter came up to you and, I'm sure if he was a really good recruiter, like, myself and my buddy Gino, who'll be here on a show. By the way, hey, shout out to Gino. He got selected for Master Guns out in the recruiting field. So
That's not easy.
yeah, but yeah, I would have been like, what instrument do you play, little Johnny? Oh, okay, great.
I played all the brass and percussion.
Wow.
So I was trained in treble clef and bass clef.
And I know exactly what you're talking about because, I do have a musical background myself.
Trombone, trumpet, baritone, bass clef, treble clef, tuba, and played the flugelhorn. Yep, did all that. And I played drums in the jazz band, and I was in a punk rock band in high school.
What was the name of the band?
FPS.
What does that stand for?
Flaccid Penis Syndrome. It was a pretty interesting time.
I'm sure, and it was way before Viagra too. I take it.
Yes. Yeah, I played drums in that band. It was a pretty interesting band. The lead singer's last name was Sexton.
Oh, hey.
And yeah, all the girls liked him. They didn't flock to the drum.
Well, I guess nowadays it would have been VPS, Viagra penis syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So then you joined the Marine Corps, all that good stuff, and made it all the way through.
Interesting story. 22 and a half years in the Marine Corps. I only re-enlisted one time.
What? What do you mean?
Nobody gets this. One re-enlistment. And it was when I was a staff sergeant, selected for warrant officer, and I was 2 months short of pinning on warrant officer, and I had to re-enlist.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
Listen up, I'm gonna sing some more.
Marine Corps.
Motivation in the simplified.
Marine Corps.
This is where we come alive.
Marine Corps.
San Diego, climbing up
first, so you know, the one time that you re-enlisted,
One
you were,
time.
damn, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep. I was a staff sergeant with 2 years time and grade with 14 years in the Marine Corps when I re-enlisted my first time.
You know, every time I talk to this dude, I find out some type of new shit, like, you know,
Yeah.
about his banding. Yeah, you know, he told me, oh, I was in a band, but I should have just asked.
Yeah, I was in a couple of other bands, but in high school, but I don't remember their names. They were short-lived, a couple of months here, a couple of months there. But yeah, walking around high school, you know, made our own shirts, FPS on there because you couldn't spell it out. You would get kicked out of school even in the 80s.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Oh, wait, yeah, let's get you a little bit closer to the mic right there.
Okay.
There you go. So now that you're in the Marine Corps, you re-enlisted, and so what made you want to go into the Warrant Officer program?
Well, I wanted to be the sergeant major of the Space Marines. All right. Well, let me step back. So my first tour, because I actually got out after my, so I joined the Marine Corps as a reservist.
Okay.
Because the recruiter basically, when I said I wanted to be in the real Marine Corps,
Right.
the recruiter looked at me and he said, well, it's going to be the grunts or a cook. And I said, technical job, please. The only way I could get that is go in the reserves. So I went in the reserves, then I turned around and went right on active.
Okay. Okay.
So I could get my technical job. So I got in the Hawk missile, but nobody bothered to tell me that was a dying MOS. It was going to be gone in 2 years.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps!
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps!
1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps!
Listen up, I'm gonna sing some more.
Marine Corps!
Motivation in the simplified.
Marine Corps!
This is where we come alive.
Marine Corps!
San Diego climbing up the hills.
Marine Corps!
Paris Island parade.
So you were gonna be the Space Force.
Yeah. So when after my first enlistment, I decided to get out. Immediately knew it was the wrong decision. It was right after the Gulf War. Promotion to sergeant was frozen. I was 2 points out when they froze it. 9 months later, I'm asking, hey, what about sergeant? They said, maybe another year or so. So I got out, realized I messed up, got back in. But during my first enlistment, my goal was whenever, false motivation. Hey, Marine Corps, rah. What I'd say is Marine Corps Reserves, rah. But when I got back in, though, I went out on I&I duty, and that's where I really started to learn maintenance management. Because you're out there on your own, and you have to learn it. And after 2 years on I&I duty, I had a Morton stay inspection, and I had a master gunnery sergeant who was a 3529 came out of New Orleans. He came out, and he had him and a staff sergeant that was a 3529 did the inspection on me, and they literally they said I aced it, and I really learned a lot when I was out there. So I decided to stay in, and long story short, because of my broken time, and then I extended. I got back in, then I extended, and throw.
That brought you up to.
Brought me up to 13 and a half years. And I was looking at sergeant major, but by that time, I had 5 years time and grade as a sergeant. And as a senior sergeant in the battalion, I got to spend a lot of time with the staff NCOs. I led a couple of NCO parades. Good point, in one of my units, Sergeant Major of Marine Corps Kent was my first sergeant.
Oh, wow.
Then he became my battalion sergeant major. And I led some NCO parades when I worked with him. It was a pretty good deal. Anyway, so I ran into a lot of the senior staff NCOs I ran into. I was kind of had some really great ones and some that weren't.
Yeah. No, I
And-
mean, I think
Yeah.
that's the whole with the service.
right. And
That's anywhere.
so I ended up getting, I was a sergeant with 5 years time of grade, and I got my first warrant officer I had to work for. Yeah, so I got to work for this warrant officer. We called him Old Nine Fingers because he lost his wedding finger at one point. Anyway, after a couple of months, he looked at me and he asked me if I'd been putting in a warrant officer package. And I said, no, I was going to be a sergeant major. And he said, don't waste your time. You need to be a warrant officer. So I started applying. And I got it on my third try.
Yeah, it took me 5 times, when
Hey, I know a really great guy that retires at CW05, 7 applications
damn. Yeah, that guy.
before he got it.
Scott was the one who that last time Scott Gilman.
Yep.
Yeah, he pushed me that one. He coming from Afghanistan. I was like, I'm not. Can they see?
Message.
Yeah, I think. We're just gonna go ahead with it. Says that we're in the studio, so yeah. For me, Scott Gilman was the one who pushed me to come back and keep applying. As a matter of fact, he called my CO, my DXO, and between the two of them, I ended up putting in a package. So when it was my time, it was my time. So I mean, but you travel pretty much all around the world. I mean, you did that as an officer in the Marine Corps.
Yep, 3 combat tours.
Wow. Yeah.
I spent 22 and a half years in the Marine Corps. 11 of that was in artillery. 5 tours in artillery.
So okay, that makes sense then, because you do have a lot of you do know you're right now working as a government contractor. You do know about missiles and Patriot and all that stuff because of the background that you had.
Yeah, Patriot's a little different, but yeah.
So overall, how many years did you end up doing in the Marine Corps then?
22 and a half.
Damn, well, you got me beat. Shit, So when you get out, because ever since I've known you, I mean, I've known that you're a government contractor. I mean, what made you want to get into the whole government contracting thing?
Well, straight up honest, the money, because that's what everybody, it's great to go overseas and see different cultures and experience different things. I've been to a lot of countries around the world, probably like 22 or 23 of them. But to be honest, to work overseas, it's all about the money. Everyone has their motivation, and they have different reasons. But everybody I know in contract, they're going to look for the extra cash to go take care of whatever they want in their personal life. They want to do buy a house, pay for college, whatever it is.
Let's talk about some of the things that, or the perception that people think, is the money good? Yes or no?
Oh, it's very good.
Okay. What about the whole tax thing? 'Cause some people say, oh, you don't have to pay taxes on this,
Okay,
this and that.
so it all depends. It depends on your contract, depends on your company, depends on if it's a government contract or it's a direct sales contract with whatever organization overseas. Depends on-
So saying that the it depends on the contract in regards to taxes, because that's the one thing that everybody says, oh, you must be making bank because you don't pay any taxes, and
Oh, no, I pay a lot of taxes.
Yeah.
I just don't pay any state taxes because as a contractor, get out of states that have income tax. Do not stay there. Go to Florida, go to Texas,
yeah,
get a residence there of some sort, somehow through family, through friends, whatever. Get a driver's license from those states that don't have income tax because they will take a large chunk. My first job, I paid $23,000 to the state of California.
holy cow.
Then I immediately, on my first vacation, came back and I went to Texas and got a Texas driver's license. I haven't paid state tax since. That's 23,000 in my pocket.
Yeah. So how hard was it for you to get into government contracting?
Okay, so every job I've ever had, except for when I joined the Marine Corps, it's because I knew somebody. Honestly,
Yeah, of course, it's not
So,
it's who
I-
you know.
right. So when I was in the Marine Corps, my first job outside the Marine Corps, while I was in, I ran into somebody. I ran into a pamphlet for some mobile modular warehouse that I saw had value on the maintenance side as well. I contacted the company, and I stayed in contact with that company for about 3 years, actually 4 years. And during the last year, while I was in the Marine Corps, they reached out to me and asked me if I was willing to go to work for them. And it was a $40,000 a year bump higher than I was making as a Chief Warrant Officer 3. So I saw that as a good opportunity. I was in zone for 4. I just sent a letter to the board, said, don't look at me, and go ahead and give it to someone else, and I'm going to retire. So got out making $40,000 more a year right off the bat, and that was $20,000 in base salary and $20,000 in travel expenses, which you
wow.
still pay taxes on.
Right. It all, and you're right. It all depends on the, who you're working for, what contract, and I guess what it's not incentive. I wouldn't say incentives. It's the things that,
Right. Well, see,
the amenities that.
so that company was contracting, but it was 1 foot in the U.S., 1 foot overseas. So I had a customer base on the East Coast, West Coast, Alaska, Hawaii, and Japan. So I'd spend a couple of months a year in Japan, but when I was in the States, I was on the road So I'd be on the road on that one. So I did that for about 3 years. It did have impact on my second marriage. It did not survive it. To be honest, contracting is not easy on marriage. It's the same as military. From that, I rotated. I started looking for positions, and then a Marine friend of mine said he knew about this opportunity working for a contracting company who had a contract with the U.S. government in Afghanistan. So I applied, sent my resume. The next day, I got a phone call, asked me if I could do an interview that day. I did the interview, got the job offer, and an email that same day. 6 days later, I was on my way to Virginia for onboarding, and 7 days after that, I was in Afghanistan. So found out about the job, got hired, onboarded, and then went to Afghanistan all in 2 weeks. And I spent 4 years in Afghanistan.
Yeah, well, I remember that. And you bring up a good point that when you were saying is that you knew a fellow Marine, and so one of the things that I think that they do preach when I went through the retirement seminars, and I'm sure that you did the same ones too, is that hey, when you're about to get out, don't just cut off your network. Like, okay, I'm no longer in the Marine Corps. Peace out. And because you never know, stay plugged in because you never know.
Every job. Every job, with the exception of when I joined the Marine Corps, because I knew somebody that let me know about it, had heard about it, had shared it on the internet, something. But when it comes to contracting, Iraq and Afghanistan has dried up. So
Yeah.
a lot of the technician positions have gone away. A lot of the management positions have gone away, but and because that's what people were used to when they hear contracting, that's what they thought. I'm here to tell you there are a lot of contract positions overseas, and it's not these fly-by-night companies that you hear about from Afghanistan and Iraq. Fortune 500 companies, each and every one of them have international business. They hire Americans to go work overseas.
Yeah, no, and companies like Raytheon.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
Listen up, I'm going to say
Raytheon. Yeah, and the other ones that people know, like KBR, that's another one.
KBR's a big one.
Pratt Whitney.
Triple Canopy is a very basic security company. They still have a lot of business in Africa, but you've got even Ford Motor Company has jobs overseas. You've got Lockheed Martin has jobs overseas.
Right. Yeah.
Boeing has jobs overseas. You just got to find them. You just got to look, and there's a lot of web pages out there where you can go sign up for overseas jobs. Yeah, but everybody else signs up for that too. The best place to go find them, one, is your connections, your contact.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
Listen up, I'm going to sing some more.
Go to websites. Go to any Fortune 500 company. Go to their website. Go look. They have job opportunities, and you can do advanced searches if you're looking for something overseas, because they all pay more. So I have a philosophy. I have lots of philosophies in life. I haven't really talked about it. And,
Hey, we could talk about them.
we could spend days talking about some.
Yes,
of these things.
yes, we can.
So one of my philosophies in life is there's 3 levels of making money. There's regional, there's national, there's international. Okay. With my background, my experience, and my
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marine Corps.
1, 2, 3, 4.
so I'll just use an example or vehicle. All right. So the average vehicle technician is going to make what, 25 to 35, maybe 40,000 a year in the States. Regional, if they work for a company that's a national company and that requires them to relocate, they're going to make a little bit more.
Right.
If they work for an international company, they're going to make even more. So if a regional company that hires someone that's ASC certified is going to pay them $30,000 to $40,000. That same technician can make $80,000 a year.
And that, along with the other things, the housing, the this, the that.
Yep, depends on the contract.
Right. Of
All
course.
comes down to the contract, so depends on the location of the contract. You can get there's additional plus ups, and the more dangerous the location, the more the plus ups. When I was in Afghanistan, I was making 45% plus ups. The salary was more, and I had plus ups. In other areas, it could be 30, 35%. So it all depends on where you go. So if you're going to Europe, your plus ups are going to be less money wise, but you're probably going to get housing because housing is more expensive. So they'll offer housing as an incentive. And they're typically the housing you get in places like Europe or the Middle East are good places. I mean, they're 4 or 5 star level housing at no cost to you, but you are taxed on.
Right. No. Yeah. That's the one thing that and again, it all depends on the contract as well.
Yep.
But so basically, so if there's nothing wrong with working at the regional level. There's nothing wrong with working at the
Oh.
state level. I mean, each one has its benefits, but if you're willing to move, I think that allows you more flexibility and it does increase your income.
Right.
And
So it really comes down to your personal preference and what you have going on in your life.
Right.
A lot of people, like, they join the military to get away from wherever they're from. They go and they experience it. They get out after 4 years and they go back to where they came from.
yeah,
And they didn't go through school or anything, so they have their military 4 years of experience, and then they go into the local market to try to get a job.
right.
Okay, so there's challenges with that. Then there's a lot of people. Let's wrap up. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that that they have more ambition to, whether it's college for their kids, or they want to buy a new house, or they want to get a new car, whatever it is. Some people get into contracting and do it for 1 year. Some people do it 2, 3 years, and there's other people that I know people have been doing it for 20, almost 30 years. So it all depends on individual goals.
Hmm. No, I mean it's all about preference and choices and being and how flexible are you and to go the extra mile. I mean, there are going to be sacrifices, or things that may take their toll on like you said, on your relationship and other things like that. But the benefits are there. Uh, should a prior service member, a veteran, or somebody who's in transitioning out. I mean, don't forget, don't again, the main thing is that use your network or start building. If you're thinking about getting out or retiring, start building your network on LinkedIn. Keep your friends engaged, stay engaged with your friends and those type of things. But who knows? I mean, you may find yourself on a contract, and you might bump to this guy
Yeah,
right over
yeah,
here.
yeah. I've got a wife. I'm 54, and I've got a 2-year, 9-month-old son. I'm not retiring anytime soon.
No, you still, you still got a while.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we do this, Dan? Let's start. Maybe we could bring you back some other time in the near future. Yeah, why don't we just bring you back in the near future so we can expand on it, and hopefully we've worked through these internet issues that we've been having with this connectivity. I mean, that's our studio's all the way in Doha right now, so I mean,
I can talk about contracting. I can talk about different countries around the world. I can talk about being married 3 times. I can talk about having a 33-year-old son and a 2-year, 9-month-old son and a couple of children in between. Whatever, I got all kinds of life philosophies. I forget about most of
No, I know. But if anybody's interested if you want to go, if you're interested about overseas contracting work, websites like rtx.com for Raytheon, you can go on their on with